There we go.
Everybody, high fives. High fives. Great. Great job. Great job.
The Stand is an adaptation of a Stephen King novel, I think. Maybe a series of novels. Michael cleared up.
Well, no, actually, The Stand for me was a wave of nostalgia for the very first adult novel that I ever read, and it is one novel.
The Stand for me was thrilling, fun, and a chance to fangirl out over James Marsden.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fallingtower's Watch the First podcast, the podcast in which we watch the first episode so that you don't have to, unless you want to, especially after this. Today, we are doing a review of The Stand, which we watched on CBS All Access. I believe all three of us did.
Yeah.
It's an adaptation from a Stephen King novel. I never read the book, but I did watch the original miniseries in the 90s or something like that.
1994.
And I think, wasn't there like John Ritter in it and maybe Max Headroom? I feel like Max Headroom was also in it, right?
Yeah, Gary Sinise. Yeah. I think, what was her name? 16 Candles, Molly Ringwald.
Oh.
Right. I think that's right. Yeah. Anyway, so that's what we're reviewing. The first episode is called The End, which is very confusing.
It also had, what's your name? Your boy Parker Lewis. What was his name?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Corin Nemec.
I feel like he played Harold louder. So.
Oh, so just he like raised the decibel level on him.
Yep, louder than that.
Oh, by the way, we are joined by co-CEO, as always, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg.
Yay!
Hi.
Woo!
Hi.
Infinite wealth of knowledge. We're also joined by our superstar actress, Bridget Fitzgerald.
Hi. It's me. I've made it.
My name is Ryan T. Husk. Oh, and I'm wearing a new shirt that we got from our other Fallingtower compatriot, Darth Shuey. Let's unveil it now.
Ooh.
See?
Ooh.
Yeah, okay, there you go. The tower.
Ooh,
The tower.
The tower.
Looks like the cat's tail.
Parentheses, which is falling.
Right. Well, that's where we got the idea for Falling Tower was the tarot card. Sometimes
card.
it's called the tower. Sometimes it says the Falling Tower, but that's where we
Right.
got it.
Okay.
And Darth remembered that, and I'm sure he also remembered that I love black kitties because they're so cute. So good job, Darth. Shout out there. Let's move on and talk about this show. First thing we do, guys, in the comment section below, please make sure you tell us what shows you'd like us to review. If you want us to review a show, say WTF Doogie Howser, or WTF The Wonder Years, or WTF Will and Grace. That means watch the first Will and Grace. Moving on, we're going to predictions, guys.
Ooh.
First thing we do now is we predict. Michael and I have known each other for over 20 years. We're good buddies.
This might be new for Bridget. I don't know if she was with us the last time.
It's exciting, right?
Ooh, guys. I didn't think that new things would be afoot, but 2021, here we come.
By the way, awesome necklace.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm all about that costume jewelry. Every day is a costume day, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good point.
Thank you.
So we know each other well enough to predict things. We're usually pretty close. Bridget, feel free to jump in if you want. And everybody in the live chat especially, make your predictions. You know us pretty well by now. What do you think? Or maybe it's your first time watching this. Just take a guess. I'm going to predict that Michael very much liked the first episode of The Stand. Like, not like super 10 A+ aces, but a very strong like. He was happy with it. He loves the source material. He's going to say it executed well. It was fun. He enjoyed it, and he's planning on watching it further. I'm going to say that Bridget...
I already told you this.
Just about the same thing, but slightly less.
But can you guess the number? What number would I give it on
8.
a scale of 1 to 10?
8, and Mike will
okay.
be around a 9.
Okay.
Those are my predictions.
Nice.
Michael, what do you predict?
I think that Ryan liked it. He's not in love with it, but he wouldn't marry it, but he wouldn't kick it out of bed. And then Bridget, I think that she did like it a lot.
It's kind of obvious when you blurt things out like, I loved it, before you get on here to record something. What's going to happen? Is it a prediction?
Kind of. Maybe you were trying to trick us. Do you have any predictions about us, about how we felt about it?
I predict that you both had a great time. I think that Michael, because you're a big fan of Stephen King, and I feel like you did check out previous information. If you're a fan of Stephen King, then chances are you love this, because it was a fun ride, and I hope that it was a good adaptation. But who's to say? It has a huge source material, isn't it? Like thicker than It was the book. Yeah, and it was long. I read it. It took forever.
It was
took
thick
several nights.
and long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I loved it, obviously.
Yeah.
So those are our predictions. We'll see how accurate we all are in this. I have a feeling that some may be accurate and some may be not. But Michael, everybody's dying to know. I can predict that in the live chat, everybody's going, but what's the show even about?
Yeah. I bet they are saying that.
No answers?
Don't leave them hanging.
Just gonna leave them hanging.
Oh, okay. No, I can tell you what it's about. So after the world is in ruins due to a man-made plague, a battle of biblical proportions ensues between the survivors. In this episode, when the Captain Trips flu epidemic wipes out more than 99% of the population, the remaining few immune to the disease, including Stu Redman, Fran Goldsmith, and Harold Lauder, set out in search of other survivors, all the while experiencing visions of the nurturing Mother Abigail and the menacing figure of the Dark Man.
Wasn't Dark Man also a movie in like 1990? Dark Man.
Yeah, it was. Liam Neeson.
I have no idea.
Oh, really? Liam Neeson?
Yeah.
That's cool. So that's what it's about. Now, the next thing we're going to do, Bridget's very familiar with this one. This is called The Fun Ride. Now, The Fun Ride, this is our Disney kind of thing that, Bridget knows, we're all Disney buddies down here in SoCal. Mike's stuck in Portland. You guys have fun stuff too? You have rain and stuff?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have teacups. They just don't spin.
We have the Enchanted Forest in Salem, which is like a
Salem
crappy
Witches
knockoff of Happy Hollow, which Ryan remembers probably from San Jose.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Imagine Happy Hollow, but worse.
So
that sounds like a great description for anything. Imagine this, but worse. That's like the equivalent of smell this. Like, you never take that bad. Don't do that.
Ryan definitely doesn't. Yeah.
Oh, I don't? Okay. No, that's true. I hate smelling people. People are so soiled and gross. Anyway, the point is, I forgot what I pretended like the thing was called. What did I say it was called?
A fun ride.
A fun ride. This is called the fun ride. This is when we compare and contrast what we expected versus what we actually got. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, before you watched this first episode of The Stand called The End, what did you expect?
I expected to have an updated version of one of my favorite stories. I mean, like I said, this was the first adult novel that I read.
How adult?
30 years ago. And I haven't read it since then. So I read it 30 years ago, and then 25 years ago or something, there was the other miniseries, and I watched that. But I don't really remember a whole very specific details from reading the novel. But I expected to have an updated version of that story. So.
Bridget, what did you expect before you watched any of it?
Okay, I'm going to be honest with y'all, because I always am. I expected a whole lot of Whoopi Goldberg, okay? I expected to see so much Whoopi Goldberg that everybody would be like, oh my gosh, it's Whoopi Goldberg yet again. Can this story stop being about Whoopi Goldberg? But you know what? I went Whoopi hunting during this episode. I was like, where is she? When she came on screen, I was like, oh, thank goodness. And then she would disappear again. And I was like, come back. I had expected a lot more Whoopi Goldberg than I got. I also, I guess because I loved it, and I love the made-for-TV movie of it, both parts. I enjoyed that. That was one of the scariest movies that I think I ever got to see when I was a little kid before I was supposed to watch that. Somehow I managed to sneak a copy because I was never allowed to see scary movies. But like that was so scary. I was expecting something that was super tense, but it was tense, but not as scary, except for that final shot, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
Well, I'll tell you what I expected. I am familiar with the story. I've never read it, but I'm familiar with the story because people have spoken of it very often. There's a lot of, lore about it, just like it. And I remember seeing the 90s series or mini series, whatever it was, with all those people in it. And so I expected, I don't know if I expected it to be good or bad, but I expected to be happy to be revisiting what was a good story, So that's what I expected. I just expected, look, it's going to be a good story regardless, and it'll be nice to revisit an old classic. But that's what we expected. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, hit us with the bad news. What did you get?
Well, what I expected was an updated version of one of my favorite stories, and what I got was an updated version of one of my favorite stories. Like, obviously the production value is like way higher than back when they had in the 90s, and they can do more with less nowadays, with less money and less because the technology is better. But then also because of these streaming platforms, they're able to put more money into things too. So like a mini series from the 90s was like bare bones budget, but nowadays like you have like all this CGI stuff that you can do, and like like these streaming platforms just have tons of money, it seems like, so they can just throw money to get I mean, it's not like they didn't get really like A-listers, I don't think. I mean, but they got a pretty good cast. Whoopi Goldberg is obviously up there, but I think we're going to see more Whoopi, so stay tuned, Bridget.
Yeah, with Sister Abigail.
Mother Abigail.
Sister Abigail's like a wrestling move.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe
FYI.
somebody else from Sister Act was Sister Abigail.
Yeah, but they had cell phones, and like, it's like it takes place. It's like, what if The Stand took place in modern day, and that's what you got. So,
right, Bridget. So you expected all those aforementioned things. What did you get though?
I feel like I accidentally did this where I told you the same thing at the same time. So sorry, I didn't.
You did give us
that.
a couple hints about that.
But I will say that I definitely expected more Whoopi than I saw in this episode. But there are a bunch of episodes. I actually didn't realize it was going to be as many episodes as it was. And something that I forgot to mention the first time that actually surprised me, because I went into this blind. I've never seen The Stand, heard the plot of The Stand. I just was like, oh, I have CBS All Access for the Star Trek of it all. But then I was like, oh, I'm seeing the stuff. It looks good. Again, huge James Marsden fan. And I was like, oh, and Whoopi too? I'll go watch. This looks great. And so I did get thriller stuff like that, but I definitely didn't expect it to be a mirror of our times in a way in terms of the pandemic. I was like, I literally like asked Brian when I was watching with them, I was like, so did they do this before? Did they shoot this before the pandemic? And they just happened to be really on the button of what's happening right now, or
or what's happening now?
I mean, either way, are they
both, yeah.
I did think about that. Like, did they shoot this during the pandemic? They probably shot it just like right before mostly, and maybe some of it during. Yeah.
And they just got lucky.
I mean,
and
honestly, I'm thank God it didn't spread like Captain Trips. Like, thank God. Like,
well, I hate to put it this way, but there must be some of them somewhere that are going like, ooh, great timing. You know, like they were already recording the stand. They're in post-production. And what do you know? This thing pops up that makes everybody go, what's a pandemic? What? There's a show about this. It's perfect. Although it's kind of like one of those opposite things, whereas the current one we're in is like a 0.5% death rate, and theirs, they said, is over 99%.
Right.
And it's clearly well over 99% too, if only 2 people survive in a city, but we can talk about that in a moment. I'll tell you what I got. What I got was, I found myself very pleased at certain junctures of the show. So what I got was something, because I was a little worried, I'll be honest. I was a little worried. It was 59 minutes. I'm like, I like 42 minutes first episodes. Once it gets to 59 minutes, I start getting a little worried that like, is this going to drag like a dog's butt on a carpet? But what I got was...
That's always the thing I go to. That's my simile too.
Your simile, not something you do.
No, I don't have a dog, unfortunately.
No, but
Man.
Yeah. So what I got was a show that moved the story quickly and well, and I found myself very pleased with how much information, how much story they were able to present in a short amount of time. That's what I got, I'd say.
Yeah, the book is like maybe 3 inches thick or something like that. That's a paperback too, so it's like small type and like super thick book. And I remember I was traveling in Europe with my family, and I was like, I need a book to read while we're like on the train. And I just saw this book, and I was like, I didn't even know anything about it, but I knew Stephen King. And
you're a big Stephen King fan, right?
I'm a big, since then I've read a lot of King. I'm not everything he's ever written, but a lot of it. And but yeah, the story pulled me in right away when I was reading it as a young kid. And I remember being in Germany and like at our friends in Germany, we were staying at their house, and I remember staying up all night to finish it because I was just so like gripped by it. So
wow.
Yeah.
Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, nerd. In the best way, which is always a good way to be a nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man. Pretty quickly, I liked it. Pretty quickly, there was a moment, like, because they just kind of hammered through it very quickly. They let you know exactly what's going on. You get it very quickly. A lot of shows, they take a while to develop. This one, in the first scene, in the first minute, you get it, you know exactly what's happening. By minute 16, I wrote a note. I don't see it in my notes, but I know I did, where I was like, wow, this is great. After 16 minutes, I was like, wow, they've covered so much information, but not quickly, just efficiently. After 16 minutes, I was very happy. We also got the presence of the crow. I remember the crow being very symbolic. I feel like there was a crow sighting in like every episode of the miniseries. Mm-hmm. So I was happy with the pace. Bridget, did you notice the pace? Or I guess you didn't really have anything to compare it to, but did you feel like the story was moving well?
Well, I thought it had a good flow to it. I definitely didn't find myself fiddling with my phone or doing something like that because it moved too slow. I am a millennial, and I will go to my phone if I get a little bored with what's going on. But I definitely had fun watching it and checking out what was going on. I also feel like there were a lot of characters that were set up really well, so that I really cared about what happened to them, which I think helps the pacing of anything. Yeah, you know, like even the creeper, the guy who is just like a nightmare to babysit. Like if you think about it, like I was just like,
who's just misunderstood.
Gosh. No, he sounds like a nightmare. He sounds like my worst dream coming true. The reason why they invented mace lives down the street. I'm like, no.
You don't think it's like redeeming and cute and sweet that he was always peeking in on her and stuff?
that he's peeping at the beginning of the show, that he's peeping on her.
You didn't think, hey, why did those guys beat up a guy just for being a peeping Tom? What a poor fellow.
No, actually, I will say this. When I saw the guys chasing him down on the bikes or whatever, I definitely had It flashbacks. And I think Stephen King has some tropes that he goes back to every time, including like the bullies that are picking on the outsider kid who just likes to write. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I feel like there was definitely an equal scene in It.
One of the other things that's always in every Stephen King novel, if I remember correctly, is that they all take place in Maine, or at least in this case, in
Maine.
there. Yeah. Right. And that was one of the first things I noticed. I mean, you know that it's going to take place in Maine, but I was immediately in love with the scenery. It's just like this beautiful town, a beautiful pier. I don't know what it is, but like it's not just him playing hometown favorites to put the settings in Maine. There really is a lot of good stuff to be seen and to be told within, the world of, I guess, the state of Maine.
Yeah, I mean, it made me definitely want to spend a trip there or to hang out at one of those houses by the shore. Like, I literally said out loud, well, at least those houses are empty now. Move into whatever beachfront you want.
That's true. Good price.
He's biking through, and I'm just
it just stinks.
It stinks. Like, leave those people outside. Voila, beachfront condo.
All you have to do is just bury the previous inhabitants.
Yeah, and let it air out for a few days. Like, just open all the windows, just kind of.
I felt bad for that lady. Like, I have a huge father, and if my father died upstairs, he's 6'6". Like, I don't think I could like just roll him up in a blanket and pull him downstairs. I think I would be in serious trouble. There would be some sort of Rube Goldberg device in order to get my father downstairs. I felt bad for her. I was like, you got guns, sister.
Yeah. Well, and man, like, I'd be afraid that like his enlarged goiter would pop.
Oh, yeah.
They were like frogs, right? Well, one guy, I just said, whoa, he just turned into Jabba the Hutt, right? Like, he just kind of...
Yeah.
Oh, all of them looked horrifying to me. Any swollen gland looks gross. It looks like one of those pop-ups that's clickbait when you're reading the news article.
Don't end up like this guy.
I was going to make a swollen gland joke. Who is this actor, by the way? I recognize him.
Simmons.
Yeah.
He's so good. Do you
remember him from the drumming movie where he...
Yeah, Mr. something.
Oscar for that, did he?
Yeah, right? He got, it's like something Mr. something, right? What was that movie? I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it, but I know that it was like...
Oscar winner.
He finally got
J.K.
that
Simmons,
Oscar.
yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. I'm like, I feel like I saw him do a speech. I always watch all the Oscar winners speeches.
And you were also very pleased with seeing James Marsden, you mentioned. I just call him Cyclops because I can never remember his name because he was Cyclops in the X-Men movies.
Yeah, that's fair.
And he was very lippy. There he is. He was very upper lippy.
I just remember him as Chris from 30 Rock.
Oh, I never saw it. Well, because in
WTF 30 Rock, come on, guys.
James Marsden fans. I borrowed your background, James Marsden fans.
See, look, you can see it in that picture on the right. He's like very like I noticed when he acted in Cyclops. I definitely don't think that was a very good character. Like, they really made Cyclops not very good in the X-Men.
Terrible, yeah.
And he was just like always like, he was very upper lippy, and so I just can't get that out of my head. But I thought he was great in this. He was cool.
I enjoy him. I enjoy every time
I
see James Marsden. Well, he's just likable. He's fun. I think he plays to the top of his intelligence, which I think adds a lot for us at home. Like, I don't like anybody dumbing down their reactions or whatever. He always seems like he's in the moment. So as an actor, I appreciate that about him. And also, so cute. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
That's what Ryan wanted to hear.
There you go.
How do you feel about James Marsden, Michael?
I enjoyed him in 30 Rock. I thought he was a funny character, and as Liz Lemon's live-in boyfriend. So
he was also good in that show with Christina Applegate.
Oh yeah, he was fantastic.
Was it Dead to Me?
Dead to Me. Yeah, yeah. I loved him in that. He was great. Actually, the whole show was great. Did you do a watch the first on that, or just because you said
Not yet.
No, but it's good. They've done 2
Guys,
seasons so far.
WTF Dead to Me. Write it in there. Write it in there. I already did WTF My Little Pony. Don't worry. Don't worry. The work here is done.
Yeah. So a lot of people are really pushing for that My Little Pony thing. So it's probably going to happen at some point.
Yeah.
I mean,
double down. Put it in there too.
2021 is already shaping up to be a pretty terrible year. We might as well just do My Little Pony and just why fight it? Just go with it. Why
Make them bronies.
Why be the
WTF
salmon
bronies.
trying to swim upstream? Just be the otter and let it take you.
We already blew it.
And juggle rocks. Did you know that they do that?
Yeah, they juggle rocks. They use the
That's
rocks
what
to
they
break
do.
the things on their chest.
I was gonna say we already blew it with Golden Girls in the Stand. We should have just reviewed like only terrible shows in 2021.
Well, I mean,
maybe we just
honestly,
did.
No luck here. This one's. Well, I'll save my reaction for the end.
No, it was good. We liked it.
I
I think
know I loved it.
Like I said, Ryan wouldn't kick it out of bed.
no. So let's talk a little bit more about the show itself. Really, what we got was 3 characters.
Right. Well, that's just the tip of the iceberg.
I know, but I'm saying so far in this episode, we've had 3 main characters, and anybody else that's been introduced, either has died on screen or presumably has died. There was a rumor of a 4-year-old girl that was still alive. So I'm wondering if they're like going to find her, or if they're just like, who cares? You know, like what's a 4-year-old girl going to do for us? Bye. We're going to Atlanta. Yeah, but I did get very confused, and I wanted to ask, Michael tends to understand things better than I do. Oh, by the way, actually a 4th character, that was the Whoopi character, Abigail Fremantle, which is cool because our good buddy, Mr. Dan Watanabe, mentions Fremantle all the time. Shout out to him. So there was was it a flashback scene, or what was the thing when they were at like a human dumping site towards the end? And actually Lauder met or was actually working with this guy, with James Marsden guy.
Stu Redmond.
Right, Stu. And they were working together, burying all these people.
No, Stu wasn't working.
He wasn't working.
No, he wasn't burying. He shows up at the end, like at the food truck.
With the coffee or the food truck.
Oh, yeah. Well, right. So he was there with, what's her name? Was that Fran that was pregnant?
Yeah.
So what was that, a flash forward or a flashback?
Yep.
Yeah, it said 5 months ago.
Well,
at the
I think
of the
that was like present day. Yeah, exactly. And then it goes back to 5 months. Yeah.
Wait. So was that a flashback or flash forward?
No, it was that was present day, and then when it goes back 5 months, that's when we see like everyone
him peeping and all that stuff.
Right. And you see people starting to die.
Okay. So seeing James Marsden and what's her name pregnant, Franny, and the coffee truck thing, that was present day. So and when Fran and Lauder go off to Atlanta, that was 5 months previous. So we're to assume that they go to Atlanta, there's this 5-month journey or whatever, and then 5 months later, they're all burying dead people with James Marsden. Is that?
Well, I mean, she's already a few months along, right?
Right. Okay, but that's the timeline of it all.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, that
probably didn't take him 5 months to get to Atlanta on scooter bikes.
Right.
Honestly, though, I had like a scooter that was just like the one that she was driving, and I was like, there they go to Atlanta at 50 miles per hour at the tops, and their hands will shake so hard from riding. They'll need brakes every 30 minutes. So
should be fun though.
Like that would be the longest ride ever, but it would be beautiful. But they definitely would.
You could take your time, just to
meander down to Atlanta.
Yeah, loot a store here and there and
find some rotten food, whatever. Yeah, you're good. Dead people, stinky.
Yeah,
things.
roll some stinky dead people off of the gas pump and.
Yeah, keep driving. Hope it doesn't rain. Like, why didn't they just take a car? No, there's tons of cars. I'm sure someone's holding keys in a car that they could just roll out of that car. Like,
but you gotta air that thing out. It's stinky.
There was that cop that died.
Yeah, he took his gun. I'm like,
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna take the car. He did not take the car. He just took the gun. off he went. And I was like, this is the last person I want with a gun.
So why are there so many
thing
people? Why are there so many people at that food truck? Like, that's a lot of survivors and a lot of people. Like, they have a whole giant community now, or what?
Well, yeah, I think all the survivors. I mean, 1% or less than 1% of the population of America is still like
Would still be 330,000 people.
right. So
Wait.
you got to figure like
No, it would be 3.3 million. Sorry about my math there.
right. So well, I mean, obviously it's less than 1%, but you have to figure like probably some people have the same idea as they did to go to Atlanta. Maybe other people wrote signs like they did saying, "Oh, going to Atlanta." So anybody who would be alive would say, "Oh, these people are all going to Atlanta. I think I'm going to go to Atlanta too."
But they didn't end up in Atlanta. The last place was like Denver, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was another thing that confused me, because he said Boulder. Like, I'm not going to be like the guy that I was in Boulder. And that's why I got confused. I'm like, wait, they're in Boulder, or they were in Boulder? What's going on?
That's why I'm a little confused, because I thought that they went to Atlanta and then ended up, because of their dreams with Mother Abigail, going to some place in Colorado instead. Right.
You'll see.
Michael, stop teasing. Just tell us.
Second.
Well, we only watched the first of things, remember?
Yeah, but you are aware of the rest of things.
Yeah, but I've only watched the first episode of this show, so.
Okay.
Watch Michael's spin-off series, watch the second, where he watches the second episode of everything that they watched on Watch the First.
So were there any characters?
You mean the show that Ryan's not going to watch any of the shows, so he's not going to be on the show?
I don't know. I watched stuff. Were there any characters that stood out to you guys? I liked Captain Trips. That's pretty good. No, were there any characters that stood out to you guys? I mean, again, like most of the characters died, but we had, and Whoopi had kind of, a scene, and so did Creepy Guy at the very, very end, silent type. But then there were like 3 kind of main characters. Bridget, are you hinting?
I mean, I don't want to give it away, but I had a couple of my favorites right here. I mean, aside from James Marsden's character, who I think that we are supposed to root for, I think he's one of the heroes of this show. I definitely was rooting for him. And I was honestly sad to have only gotten a few seconds with the general behind you, the 4-star general.
Yeah, the general was great.
Thought he was nice and cool, and it's sad that he died.
And a known actor. I'd be surprised if they don't I guess they can't really bring him back. I mean, maybe they can, but it seems like that's it for him.
Yeah, that seems like he's one and done. But
right, because this was already a flashback.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but I definitely I liked him for the time that he was there. I also like the doctor that was there with James Marsden. That guy was fun and smart and well written. I thought that character and the actor paired with the dialogue did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That reminds me of a line that was said not by the doctor, but I believe by this guy, General Starkey. He says, he's talking about that guy Cobb. He says, men like Cobb don't stop following orders just because the orders stop making sense.
Mm-hmm.
So that was an interesting thing. It kind of gives you nice depth on that character. You're like, okay, I get it. He's one of those guys. He follows orders to the end.
There's 2 types of people.
No, there's more than that, right? I feel like I've met like a bunch. Okay.
All right.
Michael, did you like any of the characters in specific, or were they all great? Were they all okay?
Yeah, I thought they were all good. One character, I mean, obviously his character is not that great, but I mean, one character that's very interesting to me is Harold Lauder. I mean, he's a failed writer, he's picked on by bullies, and then he starts going dark. Yeah. He's got this typewriter, and so he's writing, and we kind of hear what he's writing to himself, and it does not sound very good. It's pretty dark stuff. He's like, just because because somebody's being nice to you now, like, don't let that hide like all the bullies that were mean to you. Like, don't forget about that. Don't forget about who you were and who they tried to make you to be. Like, he was going dark, and I thought that was an interesting character choice. I mean, obviously as an actor, he makes his own choices, but like, I thought it was interesting that the writers wrote him that way. That, I guess Stephen King wrote him that way. Probably. I don't really remember. Like I said, I read the book like 30 years ago. But yeah, I thought that character for me was an interesting character. I mean, yeah, Stu is the good guy. He's the hero, but then Harold's the interesting one to watch for me.
Right. There's definitely going to be a character arc there. A lot of change there. Sorry, what were you going to say, Bridget?
Well, that he's a human car wreck. Like, I couldn't stop watching him.
Right.
I definitely was like, please don't hurt her. Like, she's the last person here.
Well,
please
he had
don't.
the nice moments.
Your life, you know?
He had the nice moments when he said, like, you know, all the girls that have dumped me, I put them on the nail, just like what you taught me. I mean, like, he could have become a sweet guy, but he kind of went in the other direction. And I just kept thinking, look, stop fussing around with your long ass hair, just cut it. Like, he's trying to make himself look good. He's trying to do all these things. I'm like, you realize if you just cut it, you'll be like, you're all set. That's it. But I think it'll work later. Like, I think later it's going to be like long and he'll be like, I'm a dark guy.
I definitely enjoyed some of the things that, I know this is kind of related to him, because that reminded me of how we keep seeing the girl that he was peeping on. And they had all these, it was interesting television directing to me, because we saw her from like these weird angles from far away, as if we were peeping on her. Like when she's downstairs alone after like digging up the dirt, it's like we're peeping on her from upstairs, and then we're peeping on her later from all these different angles. I was like, it's just interesting. Like, it was thoughtfully done. So I appreciated that about this show.
Interesting.
So, if you go back and rewatch the first, that could be something you can check out. I don't know. No chance. Never happening. Rewatch the first, not a thing.
Was I imagining, or was there somebody letting that Campion character run out with the disease? Like, he was holding the door open with his foot, right?
The little foot guy.
And that we are to presume that was the guy that appears in the back seat of the
back seat with the baby.
Right.
That's what I assumed, but
his name is Randall Flagg, and he's the dark man
he wants it to come out. He wants the virus to spread.
Right. Spoilers: Mother Abigail is the good guys.
The opposite.
And then Randall Flagg is the bad guys.
They're like the coaches.
The way she's presented, because she's presented in all these creepy dreamlands, I didn't know how to take her. Like, I enjoyed her, but it wasn't until I honestly didn't know how to perceive her, because she just appears in what I think is one of the scariest places on earth, which is a cornfield. Where
I thought you were going to say
like,
Iowa.
Weird noises are happening. Close enough. A cornfield in Iowa somewhere. Like, that's the creepiest place. Like, Children of the Corn has ruined it for me. Like, I will never be alone in a cornfield. Not if I have anything to say about it. Like, that sounds terrifying. So every time I saw that dream sequence, I was like, get out of there. Stop it. Wake yourself up. Tell yourself you're dreaming. Get out of there.
Right. That's the other creepiest place someone could appear in, is in your dreams. They just kind of like pop in there. Oh, by the way, I want to tell you something. You're like, dude, I'm dreaming. Stay the f*** out. Well, see, I thought they kind of hinted to us that she was going to be kind of like the good coach, we'll say, and the dude's going to be like the bad coach, because of who they appeared to and what they did. Like, she appeared to the girl, right, who is very clearly, you know, a pure person. She's good all the way through. Same thing with James Marsden character. And then the dude appeared, I believe, to the dude that's going dark. So I feel like that was the context that we needed to be like, okay, I get it. They're picking teams, you know, it's like, they're doing a draft or something, or else maybe they were pre-picked.
Right. Well, kind of, but then also Stu saw the wolf in his dream, and then the wolf was also seen by Harold, which I think turned into the Man in Black. So I think
I
thought
it is the man was the crow.
Both, I think.
The wolf was so cute, though. I was like, oh, the wolf, he's his friend. That is so sweet.
I mean, the only thing that was similar to my own dreams was there was a spotlight in them. And I've had that Oscar dream many a time. Spotlight on you.
Have you really?
Dreaming about it. Yes, of course.
Wow.
I think about my dreams all the time. I aim with my heart. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just dream about all the cool things I can do while the Oscars are on and I'm not watching them. That's,
Nice.
that's
Nice.
all I
Well,
can.
you've just written yourself out of my acceptance speech.
I was just kidding.
Not there anymore. Not there. Sorry. I was gonna, but now I'm just saying thank you to Michael Kenyon Rosenberg.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm definitely watching that one.
What's the
Nice.
coolest dream you've ever had? I know. It's a toughie.
Well, I had a pretty cool dream that I kind of wrote down because I think it'd make a cool story. It's about
Those
like
are
it's like a post-apocalyptic like dystopian world where like there's this kid who like works in the fields and then something like there's like this kind of evil dictator who like wants everything done by clockwork.
Was it cornfields?
There probably were cornfields
Please,
in
no.
there actually.
Get out of there. What are you doing? Get out of there.
But anyway, the kid ends up confronting the evil dictator, and it turns out the evil dictator was like a kind of a clockwork android the whole time. So he's got like gears and stuff like that. I don't know. It's a weird dream.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That sounds like a sci-fi book I'd like to read. That
Yeah.
sounds good. I'd enjoy that.
All right, I'll write it
Thank you.
You better hurry because everybody's going to steal it now.
eventually.
Ah,
yeah.
They're
yeah.
like clockwork dictator guy in the cornfield.
You got to
I'm
write the
stealing this.
first. Go for it.
You can't. I mean, you can't copyright an idea. It's only the execution. So.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Yeats. You guys know who Mr. Yeats is, the poet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who?
His last name is
what is-
Yeats.
Yeah, Yates.
Because it sounded familiar to me, but I couldn't remember if there was like what the first name was.
I want to say Alfred, but I think that's wrong.
Okay.
William Butler.
Yeah, William
Yeats.
Butler Yeats. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I never heard of him. Anyway, I thought you guys might know because you guys like that kind of stuff, poetry and whatever.
Yeah.
Mike's very well read. I'll have
I'm
you
a
know.
nerd. Whatever.
Yeah. Look, I thought this show was well delivered in a lot of places. It moved well, you know. So luckily, the 59 minutes went okay. Every 15 minutes or so, I was kind of like, okay, it just keeps going. There was that flash forward thing that confused me a little bit, but I think that was kind of the extent of like the kind of the major confusion. Do you guys have any confusing spots?
Nope.
I mean, not really, other than what we really got. I feel like as soon as they said, what does that mean? Then they do a flash forward or flash backward to explain what that meant. Like when they were originally saying the stuff with, you know, my man James Marsden, where he was like, I've been in prison and you won't tell me why. And then they flash back immediately to why he was in prison is because he had the crash at the gas station and he ran to help the guy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's
I
what
think
you get for helping.
They did a pretty good job.
By the way, how cool was it that they had Ozzy Osbourne's I'm Going Through Changes? I haven't heard that song. I hadn't heard that song in so long. I was so happy. And they played it for a long time. It wasn't just like a 10-second thing. Like we got to enjoy almost an entire scene with that song. It was beautiful.
It means
Billy
something
Joel's The
else to
Stranger.
me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I love that at the end for sure. And it made me I love that as kind of like a perfect send off for the episode, especially with the guy in the back seat. But then the actual song I'm Going Through Changes, isn't that the theme song for Big Mouth? Because it reminded me of that show and about they're going through sexual changes in that show.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. WTF Big Mouth, so we know what the hell she's talking about.
Treat yourself. It's so funny. I really enjoy it. It's one of my favorite animated sitcoms.
It's like Nick Kroll or something, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and John Mulaney. They're
Oh, yeah.
great together.
Oh,
They're
I
like-
love John Mulaney. Well, only because he's really funny.
Yeah, well, he's pretty great.
That's cool. That's Big Mouth.
Big Mouth.
Does he play Big Mouth?
Big Mouth is just the name of the show. There's not a character named.
It's
Big
an
Mouth.
animated show, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I thought like the main kid or something was called. Okay. I don't know. So WTF Big Mouth. I mean, whatever. If you're sure it's good. Or even if it's bad, whatever. Mike
Yeah.
likes to tear shows apart as evidenced a couple weeks from now. Stay tuned.
Woo.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? Any final thoughts before we move on to the next segment?
I'm gonna stand by the stand.
I enjoyed it. Isn't that right, James Marsden? Yes.
Give him a
yes.
kissy on the
Yeah,
cheek.
that's right, Bridget.
There. That's what he talks like too.
Both James Marsdens.
Hi, Bridget.
That's
Hi,
like-
Bridget.
Hello.
Bridget, which one do you think is cuter of those two?
I mean, he looks like classic old Hollywood in this one, but he looks like, hey, I'm here for you, girl. Like in this one. I can see why James Marsden fans on Facebook chose both of them. It's tough. Why?
Well,
Why choose?
There's also more of him. It looks like there's like a third one on the edge of that picture.
Oh, guys, if you do want to see what the rest of this photograph is, I suggest you treat yourself. Go to James Marsden fans on Facebook, become a member like me, and then you too, just hit like.
And
you'll
enjoy
get
the picture, the whole picture.
Yeah.
You're really a Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, we like him. He's a good
Yeah,
actor.
James Marsters, he's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, James Marsters of the universe. We love him. He's great. All right. So let's move on. Let's talk about something even more important. Bridget Fitzgerald. Let's talk about
Hey!
Bridget Fitzgerald.
Woo! Thank you. How exciting! Woo!
That's the first time I ever got applause for saying Bridget Fitzgerald.
Yay! Or if you're deaf, let's not be exclusioning. Yeah, nice.
Actually, the applause was for you, Bridget, and we want to talk about you. You just told us a little bit about a new project you just worked on. Can you tell us a bit more about it?
Yes, I am very happy and proud to say that I definitely got to work as an actor in 2020, which we just finished. It was a very tough year. I did some voiceover acting, and I also was asked to be in a project as a hostess. So I did the introduction to a mini series called Do Immigrants Believe in America? And it was created by John DeMeo, who is a producer on Joe's War, which is a film I did with Ed Asner and Amanda Santi. And that one's available on Amazon, iTunes, all that stuff. But this one is a personal project that he did where it's a documentary with interviews with 5 different immigrants. And it's taken from the title itself, Do Immigrants Believe in America, is taken from a line in The Godfather, which is a movie that he loves as a film fanatic. And so it's basically like, what has their experience been as an immigrant moving to America? And was it everything that they had hoped when they gave up everything and moved here? And so for me, I felt like it was a great thing to be a part of, because both I love John DeMeo. He was a great friend on the set of one of my first big movies. And also it's important to me as a daughter of immigrant, someone who was born in a different country and moved here and became a citizen because she believed in America and the American dream, and passed that on to her kids. I thought it was important for me to let them have a voice. So that's what the project is.
That's really cool. My mother did the same thing, but probably from different countries. Do you remember the countries that they immigrated from, the 5 immigrants?
I don't off the top of my head.
Oh,
unfortunately, when as an actor in a piece, sometimes you only get certain parts of what your part and not the rest of what's going on. So I only got my section, as well as I believe the woman was from Colombia. It's the first episode of the documentary series. So I got to see that as kind of like to get a sense of tone before I recorded my portion. So I don't know. It's a bunch of different people from all walks of life.
That's awesome. That's available now?
Yeah, it's available on Vimeo. There's, if you just search for Do Immigrants Believe in America, Vimeo, it'll pop right up. Or if you go to facebook.com/TheSmileyBridge, which is my Facebook page, then there's a link to it there too.
Or if you just check the description box below, I bet there'll either be that link or a link that directs us to your social media, which will direct us to that.
Perfect.
So just check that out. Yeah.
If you want.
Keep it simple for everybody.
Very simple, but yeah, I'm very proud to have been a part of that one. In a tough year, it was nice to help on something that I believe in on several levels.
What was the voiceover about? What was that?
Oh, I upgraded my home studio on advice of my voiceover agent, because she said, during this year 2020, there's no way to predict, but I expect a lot of work is going to be done from home. So in order to stay competitive, I invested in myself, and I upgraded to a broadcast quality sound studio at home. And then I got work for it at radio commercial that I did. So that's exciting. So if you hear someone who sounds like me and is making you laugh in a major grocery retailer spot on the radio, then that's probably me.
Do you have a radio voiceover voice? Do you say oh, here I am, blah, blah, blah. Okay, time to record. Hello, world, or something like that? Or do they just say, no, just we like your voice? A lot of times nowadays they just kind of want your regular voice. They don't want
do you do an NPR whisper voice?
Well, I do several character voices. I will say that. And I've been a cartoon a couple times, which is the coolest experience for sure. But as far as what I sound like, I agree with you that, Ryan, they usually say, we want an announcer that's not too announcery, or we want nothing that sounds too professional. We want it to sound like you're talking to your friend or whatever. So it really depends, because sometimes they want something with more polish, in which case I do have a bit more of a presentational voice because I've done hosting work, or stuff that's more how I normally sound, which would be exactly like this. So
coincidentally.
Weird. Wild.
I think what Ryan's getting at is he wants to hear your announcery voice.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds fun.
All right. Well, coming up next, we've got a great lineup here on Watch the First. You're going to be watching the first of everything with your hosts, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, and this guy.
That's pretty good. That was solid.
Kidding. Just
kidding. That was solid.
Yeah. Well, I've definitely been an announcer several times, but it truly depends. Yeah. So thank you. That was fun.
That's cool. So we'll include all of Bridget's goodies in the description box below. Please be sure to.
Goodies. My basket of goodies is going to be down there.
Be sure.
Easter.
No, I just meant links and stuff.
Oh, okay. Treats? Rice Krispie treats? No,
yeah.
Nothing? Okay, fine. It's delicious.
So we'll include all that below. Just check it out. Be sure to follow, like, and subscribe to all of Bridget's goodies, and support and watch her things that she's in.
Yeah, and thank you for those who did support me. I think that I've gotten a lot of extra subscribers thanks to being on this show. Now I'm over 400 on YouTube. So thank you, guys. I really appreciate this. Thank you, Watch the First people. You guys rock. Thank you.
Well, it's well-deserved, I think, right, Michael?
I think so.
Yeah, you deserve it.
Anybody who's seen any of your stuff on YouTube knows that you're hilarious. So
yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Let's definitely, you reached 400, but let's see if after this episode we could push you up to well over 10,000. I think we could do that, right?
Nice.
Right.
Nice.
No, come on, guys. Let's make it happen. Tell your friends.
I just want 7 more so then I can be the 411. That would be cool to me.
Aim high, Bridget. Aim high.
Yeah.
Soar.
Yeah. Woohoo!
So now it's time for the final segment of the show. We like to call this the final segment. Just kidding. We call it the Terrible Twos. Just kidding.
Just kidding.
We call it the
Bottom line.
the karate chop. Hiya! So what this is, it's the final 2 questions of the show, the most pertinent. If you don't like small talk, if you like to watch reviews of things, if you like to just go to Rotten Tomatoes and be like, should I watch this movie or should I not? The bottom line is for you. Feel free to skip ahead or watch the bottom line when we release just the segment of the bottom line. You can do a search for the bottom line. We have a whole playlist of just the bottom line. It basically just tells you what you need to know without all the extra good, fun, entertaining stuff that you really should watch. Question number 1 is, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give the first episode of The Stand on CBS entitled The End?
Well, at the risk of proving Ryan right, I guess I'll say a 9.
That gives me an A+, I guess 9. That's RTH.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that, everybody, but I just had I was thinking 9 from the beginning. This is it's a solid show. Obviously, it's not the greatest show of all time, so it's not a 10 for me.
Yeah, what made it not a 10? I was kind of curious.
It's there's I mean, it's tough to say. It's a good show. It's not like riveting from start to finish. I mean, I definitely kept my attention, but I wasn't like on the edge of my seat the whole time like I was when I watched Raised by Wolves. Which now I'm thinking I might want to up my score for Raised by Wolves, but it's too late now. But
it's too late to turn back now.
Yeah, but it's a solid 9. I mean, I wouldn't give it anything less than 9. I might give it a little bit more than a 9, but a 9's a good place to just land.
Dude, you gave Raised by Wolves a 9.8.
That was a good show.
But I'm saying, like, you feel like you gave it too low? You went too low on that? I mean, 9.8. That's okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Pretty high, yeah.
Good show. Yeah.
That's the highest you've ever rated anything, right?
Yeah,
I believe.
Correct, yeah.
Bridget Fitzgerald.
Me.
And we're very lucky to have you, by the way. We love having you.
Thank you guys for having me over. Like, I love hanging out with y'all.
Oh, good. See you later. Oh, wait. No, so scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this first episode of The Stand? Whatever,
I honestly feel like I agree with Michael on this. This one was a 9. I had a great time, and it definitely makes me want to. Well, I won't say what it makes me want to do because I feel like that's the next part of this terrible twos. Leave you waiting, Marsden fans. I'd give it a 9. I'd say it's a great one, and I enjoyed it immensely.
Nice. Now, for me, forgive me, I'm going to have to talk myself through this because I'm kind of vacillating between a couple edges here. Because I hadn't really given this any thought.
Ryan is a master debater.
Yeah, I'm really good at debating. I'm hovering right around the 8.5 region, actually. I think
Michael's like up.
I think it's it's better than I expected. Because I hadn't heard anything about it. I didn't hear any buzz about it. I didn't, so I thought, okay, maybe it's just going to be pretty good or it's going to kind of fly under the radar. But I didn't really find any major issues with it. There were like no terrible actors. There was no terrible plot lines. There was only one thing that was a little confusing. Michael explained it to me, which helps me. But me as a viewer, I'm like, well, what the heck's going on here? I'm going to have to ask Mike. That's all I thought. I'm just going to ask Mike. He'll know. He'll know. Whatever. I don't have to think. Yeah. I'm going to give it a solid, well-deserved 8.5.
All right.
All right.
See?
I feel like that's
okay.
pretty good for you. Like you're very tough.
Oh yeah, that's
I
really
think
good for him.
You say that, but I gave my first 10 just like last week or whatever it was on the Golden Girls.
Well, I mean, who could deny the
Mike-
Golden Girls?
Mike didn't give
How
Golden
dare
Girls.
you.
I know.
How dare
It's like, ooh, it's just a 9.5.
Okay.
9.5 is
Oh,
good.
really? Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Get
my.
him. Get him. Yeah.
How dare you?
I thought 9.5 was a good score.
Well, I thought Golden Girls was the first thing I've ever seen that I felt like I just deserved a 10. I was like, I can't. Not that it's the only thing ever. I'm sure we'll see other things that deserve a 10, but that was the one where I was like, oh wait, we shouldn't be giving this away. Watch the Golden Girls review, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
What did we think of it? Who
Yeah.
knows?
Why
Watch and
did
find
they
out.
justify that? We'll see.
Yeah.
How come
who
we
knows?
can't stop talking about the Golden Girls?
Because it's that good. What did Rico and Darth think of it? Who knows? Find out. Watch it. So anyway, the point is.
Wait, Rico's on that? Watch for Rico.
Yeah.
Rico's great.
And
Nice.
Darth, the guy that made this shirt for me
Yes!
by purchasing it.
Man, oh
So-
man. Made
so-
dreams realized that's what that guy did. So
That's the answer to the first question. But the second question is even more poignant. This is really the bottom line. For the purposes of this podcast, we all had to watch the first episode of The Stand on CBS. But now that the podcast is over and we are free to move about the internet, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, thank you. Would you watch the second episode?
I would. And before Ryan answers, I always want to let him know this is a limited series. And I looked it up. It looks like there's only 9 episodes.
Okay, so that's
it ends
long.
in
That's good.
February.
It ends in February, so they're releasing an episode
One a week. Yeah.
Right.
It
Oh,
ends in
I hate it when they do that. Just give us all the fucking episodes.
So, but you just have to wait, and then you can watch the whole thing.
Ah.
Anyway.
Ah.
No spoilers. That doesn't mean we're trying to watch the second. So, but you're saying you would, Michael?
I would. Yeah.
Okay. Seems pretty
On par.
solidly, right?
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't a tough answer for you.
No, I would definitely watch the next episode. Yeah.
Okay. Seems like you're almost planning to.
I am definitely, but first I have to get my wife to watch this first one so that she'll be into it, so we can watch them all together. So,
Bridget, you're
Nice.
pointing.
I'm pointing to someone I'm agreeing with. You can't see who it is, but I see it on my monitor. It's very clearly Michael Kenyon Rosenberg. I agree with you yet again. High
On
five.
what?
On watching this again. Wait, now you're just hitting me in the face.
there we go.
Everybody, high fives. High fives. Great job. Nicely done. All right. So I agree that I would watch it again. And in fact, I started watching it again until the person I was watching with fell asleep. So I had to stop the episode. I got very irate. I was like, no, Whoopi's about to come on. Wake up.
Did you watch it last night or today?
Last night.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would love to watch the rest of the second. I'll say it. I've already part of the second. I want to watch more of the second. I want to see Whoopi. They have been teasing that woman.
Hang on a second.
Whoopi, I love you. I love you so much.
I'm starting to get the impression
Sure, go
that
for
the only reason you like The Stand is for the promise of seeing Whoopi, and because you are seeing James Marsden. If you took those two actors out of this show and replaced them with two people you'd never heard of, would you still feel the same way about the show?
Yes, but who's gonna kid around? Like, this is a definite bonus. Guys, come on. Like, if you see someone that you really like in a movie, or that has been highly advertised as is in this movie, you really want to see that person in the movie. Am I wrong? I'm not wrong.
I don't
James
think
Marsden,
so.
do you agree with me? What about you, other James Marsden?
Yeah, sure do.
Thank you.
Well, that was his voice
both of
too.
you.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's spooky. It's like he's in my house, but like both of him. But yes, I definitely was looking forward to it for my favorites. I definitely enjoyed every moment that they were on screen. But I definitely also think that there's something to Stephen King's writing that is very compelling.
There is something about that guy. Yeah.
He's going to go places. I've got a feeling about it.
Actually, it made me Google, well, like after I had finished the first episode, when I was like thinking about it and wondering like if I could watch the second and when it would be available and that sort of thing. I like Googled it, and it turns out that his son wrote on the third episode. The credit for the teleplay is on the
No
third
way.
episode.
That's cool.
His son, who's a sci-fi writer as well. It's a whole family of writers. His wife is a writer. He's a writer. His son's a writer. His other son's a writer. But this is the younger of the two writing sons who wrote on this episode. And then the finale has the teleplay by Stephen King. So I'm very excited to see what Stephen King does with his teleplay at the very end of the series.
Interesting.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. That's exciting. That is interesting. And it makes me feel bad now what my answer is going to be about whether I would watch the second episode. I would.
He's going to say yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I would. I would. I think a little less vehemently than the two of you, but it's still not a difficult decision. I think this show is good by anybody's metric, except for if you just have some kind of prejudice against it. Like, I don't like Stephen King shows, or, oh God, this thing is serialized, or I just didn't get it, you know? But if, basically speaking, anybody that watches this is going to say, okay, this is a good show.
Yeah.
It's good. Whether you think it's amazing or whether you think it's pretty good, everybody's going to think it's a good show because it is, and it's well done and it's well delivered. So yeah, I would.
There's only 9 episodes, so
yeah, whatever.
Just like a 9-hour movie.
I honestly really love that format because it feels like you can kind of get like a movie feeling for each longer episode, but it's not like you have to. Like if a friend told you, hey, Lost is great, and you tried to watch Lost now, that would be hours of your life that would just be sucked away. Whereas 9 episodes is not that much. Like you could demolish that in a couple sittings. You know what I mean?
I knew you were going to say sitting. I knew you were going to use that word. For some reason, it just felt like demolish lends itself to sitting. I feel
like you know me very well by this point. Like we have been buds for a while, and I've been on the show many times. I feel like you could probably guess what my favorite part of this episode was.
Oh, okay. Boy, oh boy, another segment. Boy, yeah, now the pressure's on because I don't think I can. So, when Whoopi showed up.
Yeah.
What am I thinking? Of course, everybody in the chat right now is like, duh, right?
Duh. Obvious.
Okay, you're right. But you made it easy on me.
Yeah.
Can you guys guess my favorite part of the show? I feel like
honestly,
I think it's
like maybe when the stranger showed up in the back seat, because I think you like a surprise. I think you like a twist.
I do like it when a stranger shows up in my back seat.
How did you know?
Michael, can you guess what my favorite part was? Ooh, there's the sun.
Here, let's see.
Don't watch the whole thing.
I think it was.
The general? Is it the moment behind you? No.
Michael, start guessing. I'll let you know if you're right.
That's definitely a contender. But I want to say it's when Harold is walking around Maine and like nobody's there. And like just the scenery, I'm like just imagining like what that would be like to just have free reign over a whole town.
That was definitely one of them, and I put them in my notes. When he goes past the boardwalk and he's going through all these things, and it's just like a beautiful scenery. I love things that take me somewhere new and interesting and beautiful. That may have been number 2 or 3. I'll tell you what number 1 was just now when I thought of what actually stood out the most. And it was when that cute wolf came next to him. That Wolfie was such a sweetie with his fur. He had the little fur that just wants to be
I was going to guess that actually also. That was going to be my second choice.
He was such a little pretty sweetie pants.
All right, now what was my favorite part of the show?
Michael, your favorite part was throughout the show. Like you just liked every single bit. But
I think you just put your let's have fun hat on and just enjoyed it, ate your popcorn.
But if you did have a specific, and I also liked it when we saw the crow. That was also cool. Not just because I only like animal things, but just because it.
I did enjoy the whole thing, but there was one specific moment that just kind of really drew me in more than others. So.
Was it the general?
Typewriter.
Was it? Oh, was
Yeah,
it the typewriter
It was
moment?
when he starts going dark. He's like typing
Ah.
away and he starts going dark, and I was just like, oh yeah, this is good.
You also gave us
right.
that hint when we
Yeah.
were listening. Great. What do you think was Darth's favorite part? No, we should move on. So that's about it for us today. This has been fun. Looking forward to possibly watching the rest of this series if I get around to it, or I'll just ask Mike. Well, let's just watch it. Who cares? Let's do it. Anyway, Bridget, you are awesome as always. Everybody check her out in the description box below, of course. And what I'm trying to say is that this podcast was a good time, and it made me feel good thinking about a wolf.
This podcast was fun, but at times it went a little dark.
This
Not really,
podcast. Ooh.
Go ahead, sorry.
This podcast was a great reminder of my love for James Marsden. And whoa, there she is! Somebody!
You're quick on the trigger. That's good.
Yeah, you definitely reminded us a few times too.
Yeah.
That was good. That was great. Thank you all very much for joining us. Please remember to like and subscribe. It's very important. It's free to support us and to make us feel good and to help us continue to make these things. Share it with your friends. Hit the notification bell for notifications. And definitely above everything, comment in the comment section below, not just the live chat, but in the comment section below. Tell us what you thought of The Stand. Tell us what you thought of Bridget, if it's good. Tell us what you think of us, regardless. And tell us WTF what you want us to watch next. And we just very well might do it.
Maybe.
Which reminds me of what Michael Kenyon Rosenberg always likes to say.
Don't forget to remember to watch the first of things.
Nailed it. See you guys.